Hi guys, so I usually start my painting process with choosing a few colors I'm gonna work with. So today we're gonna paint a seascape and we're gonna need some blue. I'll choose this one. I use a cardboard palette and I'm gonna use a few brushes and an acrylic paper like this. Oh, this is the right size, the right side. So the next I'm gonna choose a few colors that I'm gonna work with, and this shade of blue is my favorite one. I always use this blue in all of my paintings. So I usually get inspired by the reference photo, but I don't copy it like 100%. I like to get inspired by the composition, for example, by colors, but I also like to change them a bit and add my own vision to the piece. So I'm gonna use some white. This is my most used color, obviously. I also gonna need something to wipe the brushes off. I usually just use an old t-shirt or something like this. Oh, I also need some water. I also have a blog post where you can see all the materials I use, all the colors I use, if you're interested. I always have a reference photo on my phone, like this, so I put it right here or somewhere so I can see what exactly I'm gonna paint. So the first step will be to define the horizon. You can always use a ruler for this, but you don't really need it. So I'm gonna use color like this, and maybe start right here, so I can measure this with my brush. So we have the horizon. And we can start painting. I also like to premix a few of my colors that I know I'm gonna use a lot in the painting process. So I'm gonna mix some blues, maybe the color for the sand. This is pretty good. Maybe I really like this shade. Like this. You can pretty much start painting. So I like to block my colors when I start the painting process. Like this, nothing fancy or difficult. Here we'll have the main wave, like this. I can define it like that. So yeah, and then as you can see, the colors turn a bit lighter from here. So I'm gonna add a bit of lighter shade. And the wave is pretty much whitish blue, like the lightest color you can see here, like this. And we also have this white color near this end, right here. I like my paintings to be very impressionistic and not too realistic. I don't see the point in copying the reference photo like 100% because there is already a photo, and why would you paint the same thing over again? But that's just my opinion. We can also paint the sky right away, add a bit of red. So the color of sea is not exactly the same as the color of the sky. We have some sort of clouds here. I just usually get inspired by the reference photo and don't copy it. So I just make these clouds the way I want them to look, not the way they actually look in the picture. So I add a bit of red and kinda like this shade. I like my acrylics to be not too watery, but when I see that the paint doesn't cover canvas like this, I add a tiny bit of water. I think I'm gonna get a smaller brush. Like this. And I'm gonna add a bit of yellow to this blue shade. A bit of white. So the wave looks kind of greenish. That's why I add this color. So a bit here. I just add different colors and see how they look together, how they interact, and does it look good. I don't really have a plan when I'm painting. I just like to see how things work and change them along the way. So I feel like we need some white here. This. I'm gonna add this blue color to the sky because it's a bit too dark and gray. I would like it to be more cheery. Like this. I like acrylics because you always can change things and colors. You can layer like 10 layers of paint, maybe 5 to 7 if you need to. If the layers aren't too thick, you can easily do like 5 layers. So I like to work with the thinnest layer first and then each layer make a bit thicker. Just add some clouds like this. Maybe here too. I think we can add some sand here. Tiny bit of black. So I would add a bit more white. This one doesn't look too the same, if that makes sense. This. It probably doesn't look very good right now, but hopefully it will be better. Because acrylics is all about layering, and you create each layer a bit closer to your reference photo. I'm gonna take this favorite shade of blue and add a tiny bit of lighter blue, so it's not too dark. This one. And then we're gonna paint a tiny bit of details, like here. To make the wave really pop, I need to surround this wave with some dark colors, and then the wave will look really beautiful. And I also want to make the horizon a bit more defined. And also, under the wave, there's usually some dark water, like this. Because the wave creates shadow underneath it, we need to paint this area a bit darker. Yeah, I think this looks better with every single layer. Too dark. And now we can paint the wave. I really want it to be white and crisp, but this white and crisp layer will be the last one, so I need to layer a bit darker shades first. It's also nice to just zoom in a bit with the reference photo, so I can see exactly how the wave looks. I'm also gonna add a tiny bit of black here. Like this looks good. Oh, no, it's too dark. I always try the shade of paint on the painting, and sometimes it looks too dark or too light, so I need to mix it again or change it a bit. So I would make something like this. Because the wave has some shade inside it, so we need to add this shady area here, like this. And there's also some shady area in the wave near the sand. I know this painting is supposed to be for beginners, but like I don't know what to say. painting sea is not really for beginners, but if you're painting sea for the first time, I think this might be helpful. I would say this. But like sea is less challenging when painting or drawing people, for example. I just intuitively add some of this grayish shade on waves. Maybe here also. I would say the best thing is to learn from nature, to notice some small details, to see patterns and just look how things, how wave works, how wave moves and where naturally shade occurs and where the highlights are. So you don't really have to look at the reference photo, you can just see how it's supposed to be, if this makes any sense. So next we're gonna add a bit lighter shade. Like this. Maybe with some of this greenish blue shade. And I always like to zoom in when I'm painting details. Let's start here. Oh no, I need different kind of brush. So if I'm painting a wave, I really like a certain type of brush. It works the best for me, like this, with the really stiff bristles. It works wonders. And also it works really nice if you want to create splashes of paint. This is the best brush ever. And I've had this kit of brushes. They are super cheap and I bought them years ago and I used them every single day. Like, this is how good this type of brush is. Because it creates a really nice texture, which soft brush will never be able to create. That's why you really need to buy different kinds of brushes. The brand doesn't really matter. What matters is the type of brush you use. Does it suits your work and the painting you're creating? So something like this. I really like creating this kind of texture with this brush. It also really helps when you're painting shadows and highlights to think about from where the lighting is coming from, so you'll have some ideas on where to put the highlights and shadows. So you see, here we have some nice texture, and also near the sand too. I really like when a painting has a texture. It really adds like another dimension to the piece. We can also add this light shade to the sky to make the clouds really pop. Like this. I also use a bottle with water to spray on my paint, to prevent the paint from drying. This is like the best thing ever. I bought this bottle maybe 5 years ago and I use it every single day when I'm painting. So right now I'm probably gonna get the lightest shade of white and make the highlights on the tops of the waves a tiny bit more, so we'll have some nice texture. So I just look where the light hits the wave the most and put there this light shade of white. And I'm also creating some texture near the sand. I think it looks good. I also feel like here we need some more work to do. So I'm gonna add a bit of blue here. This blue. This tiny bit of green. I just keep mixing the paint until I get the color I'm looking for, like this. And as you can see, the wave has more green undertone right here, where here you have more like blue color. But I also like to experiment and add different colors to different areas of the piece, see what works and what doesn't. Oh, I really like this greenish color here. Maybe we can add this shade right here too. So painting is all about experimenting and just trying new things, seeing what works for you and what doesn't. This is the most fun part. When I started painting seascapes and ocean, I was really bad at this, but with time I got better. With time everything gets better. So if you think that you're never gonna be able to create beautiful seascape, you're wrong. You just need to practice more and you'll get really good at this. So here I'm just adding some some paint wherever it needs to be. Most of my painting is intuitive, so I'm talking here a lot, but I can't really explain how I'm painting because this is just the way I paint, like the way people walk or wash dishes. Maybe not like this, but something similar. I just work on a piece until I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks and feels. I'm gonna add this light shade of blue, light shade of white here. Also, I feel like the wave isn't long enough. I actually haven't painted landscapes for quite a few months, maybe even like 5 months. So this is my first landscape in a while, so I'm a beginner today, just like you, so don't be judgy. But no, I feel pretty confident in my landscapes. That's why like half a year ago I wanted to try abstracts, because I was really curious how to make them, and I liked the process of painting abstracts when you just let go of any reference photo and paint whatever you feel and whatever you want to paint. This felt really good at the moment, but right now I'm ready to paint landscapes again. This is like the darkest part of the wave, so I'm gonna really add this blue color here. This is my favorite color of blue, like I would buy 10 tubes of this shade. I want to really make an accent on the wave, so I darken this background a tiny bit more, so the wave really stands out on its own, and it's surrounded by lots of dark blue, which is really beautiful in my opinion. I think we're almost done. I'm not really happy with the way the highlights look on the wave, so I'm gonna try to make them a bit different. Like this. I also like some splashes of paint. I know this is really messy, but that's my favorite way to do so. This painting is already messy, like, don't be afraid. I think splashes of paint really add texture and make the wave look more interesting. Here we can also see some of the wave, some of the lighter parts. And I think if you start with color blocking and then move to details in the end, this is like the best way to paint, at least for me. So I'm gonna add a tiny bit of white here. I actually like this wave. I was a bit scared to paint today because I honestly haven't painted a landscape for a long time, and I haven't painted at all for quite a few weeks, and the longer I don't paint, the more difficult it's to start again for me. So, but I'm really glad that I painted. I always feel so much better when I paint and after I paint it. I always like to take a picture of the painting so I can see how it looks in a slightly different perspective, and some obvious changes can be more noticeable. Yeah, I really like this wave. It's kinda different, but I like. So, do we need to add something more? I see that near the sand we have this thin layer of white, like residue from the wave, and I can add lots of water and maybe try to recreate this. Yeah, this looks good. I have quite a few things I can work on in this piece, but it's better to underpaint a tiny bit than to overdo this, so I'm gonna just stop. And yeah, I think this is the finished piece. So let me know, guys, if you're interested in learning something like this, or if you have any ideas for my future videos. And also tag me or send me some pictures if you painted a wave like this. I would be really happy to see what you create. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this, and like this video if you enjoyed watching this.